Okay, this question comes from Gil, and this is a really good question, Gil. This says, how do horses know what you want them to do if the click is the same for everything? I'm using verbal cues at the moment, just a little bit confused about the bridge training. My pony is asking for a treat and I want to stop this. He was partly clicker trained when I got him and I have no experience with this method of training. None of my other horses ask for treats. Thank you. Okay, Gil, this is what it sounds like to me. He didn't have kind of probably a proper basis when he got started, because the very first exercise I want the horses to do, there's a video on YouTube, a video that's part of a blog post. The blog post always has more because I put more information with the blog post, because I answer the question and I post it on YouTube, and then a little bit later I go, I didn't mention this, or I think about, so the blog is always more, it's always got more material, but you can find them either place. And I think it's called Getting Your Horse Off to a Right Start for Positive Reinforcement or Clicker Training or something like that. So you can go to my blog and search that and find that. And that'll show you the basic bridge conditioning and target training. But it sounds to me like the person who started your pony didn't teach the skills and get it really solid about keeping the respective space. It's the very first lesson I want them to learn, and I want it to be repeated and repeated and repeated. I asked for like 8 or 9 sessions of this. One, it gives the clicker value. And then 2, it also gives them that respect to space. It really reinforces it. I want it to be their default behavior. When in doubt, I want them to think, just stand over here with my head away. So that they learn that's how I get treats, not by pushing, mouthing, nudging, pawing, pushing, poking, none of that. So it sounds to me like your pony probably didn't get that good foundation. By going and looking at that video, I think you'll see what to do, and you can kind of sort this out. The positive reinforcement training and utilizing food and training is a hugely powerful tool. It's one of the things they need to survive. They're hardwired to look for food all the time. And so it's something they need to survive. It's something that they have a very high value on. And you think about it, it's because they need to survive. Its value as a motivator is unrivaled by anything we currently have in the training system. That's just what it is. Or you look at a baby horse. It's born. What does it do? Within an hour, it's up and it's eating and drinking. Nobody has to teach it that. It is hardwired to look for food all the time. So it is a very strong instinct and need, and it's very valued for them. So it's a very powerful training tool, but the key is how to utilize it in a constructive way to make progress, to work on things that are constructive and not get these behaviors that we don't like. So like you're seeing with your pony. So go to that video, and I think that'll help you out. As far as your first question about how do they know what you want them to do if the clicker is the same for everything, the clicker is not a cue. It doesn't ask them to do something. It tells them they just did something correct. So it'd just be like saying yes. So yes means yes no matter what it is. Even though the situation may change, you're like, yes, I like that you're doing, and yes, I like that you're doing. So it's just a yes signal. Technically it's what we call conditioned reinforcer. It has no value at first, and what we do, we through classic conditioning or Pavlovian conditioning, we give it value. We pair it with a primary reinforcer, something that they already find reinforcing, and we condition it. Pretty soon it takes on the value of the primary reinforcer. So pretty soon the clicker itself is a reinforcer, and it's a strong one. So it takes on the value of food. So it is very strong. The clicker itself tells them, yes, you've just done something correct. So it's a very important tool. And then we just maintain it by reinforcing, backing it up with food most of the time. Anyway, so that is why it can be the same all the time, because we want that consistency. And you can use different bridge signals. Doesn't have to be a clicker. I mean, clicker training is kind of a misnomer. It's positive reinforcement training. At SeaWorld, we didn't use clickers, and none of the marine mammal industry calls it clicker training, which is positive reinforcement training, or we kind of refer to it as target training because the target was such an important component. So you can use a verbal bridge signal down the road. I still like to use one distinct bridge signal at the very beginning, a yes signal. So the clicker is a bridge signal. And it's called the bridge signal because it bridges the gap between the moment which they do something correct and the moment which we can reinforce them for that correct behavior. So you think about something like a whale doing a bow across the pool. I can't throw a fish over there at that precise moment in time, but I can blow a whistle the second I see what I like, and he will remember what he was doing at that time that earned him that reward, what earned him that reinforcement. So it's a very important tool, and it can pinpoint minuscule moments in time. Like with the whales, if I always bridged when they went back into the water, they would get flatter and flatter and flatter if I always blew the whistle then. But by blowing the whistle or bridging, when they go reaching up, we'll get higher and higher and higher. With the positive reinforcement, they tend to raise their own criteria. With removal or negative pressure release training, you'll have to raise, the pressure in order to raise the criteria. So by utilizing positive reinforcement, it just sends it through the roof. So it's really a magnificent tool. So the timing of that is really important, and another value of this, I'm just going to give you this little story. One time I went and I was going to a barn in New Jersey to do a clinic, and I like to get there the day before and kind of get my bearings. So I go in the barn the day before, and a gal was there with her horse, and it was a little filly, and she's teaching her to lift her leg. So she said, "I'm so glad you're here because it's like my horse pulls her foot out of my hand and puts it back on the ground." So I said, "Okay, well, tell me what's happening. Are you using a bridge signal? Are you using a clicker?" And she said, "No, but I am feeding her." And I said, "Okay, well, when do you feed her?" And she said, "As soon as I'm done." I said, "Okay, so where's her foot?" "It's on the ground." And that's what the horse was learning. The horse was learning, let go of my foot, because the sooner my foot's on the ground, the sooner I can get reinforced. So while we think we're reinforcing the lifting the leg, she thinks, well, my foot's on the ground, that's when I earn the reinforcement. By putting the bridge signal in there, we can click or bridge when she has her foot up. Even though we feed when her foot's on the ground, she remember what's earned her that reinforcer. What was the first reinforcer? It was a clicker. It reinforced her, told her she did a good job, and then we can give her we can back it up with another reinforcer. Anyway, so it's a very important tool, and it's great for things like canter departs or flying lead changes or sliding stops or de-spooking, when your horse makes a good decision at something spooky. So there's a lot of value to it. Anyway, so go around my blog, and you'll find lots of, I think you'll find there's lots and lots and lots. Just search for things. I have gobs and gobs of posts there about different issues and how to apply this with that, and I think you'll kind of find some values in it. Anyway, hope this helped you out, Gil. Alrighty, until next time, if you or anybody else has questions, please go to AskShawna.com and enjoy getting your horse on target. Bye.